My name is Louise, and I'm co-chair of the UK Research Staff Association, which I'll give you a little bit of an insight into because I think some people haven't heard of us, and I would like you to have heard of us. And the first thing I'm going to say is I'm a postdoc, and I am not an expert in REF. I have some interest in REF, like I think we should all have interest in REF, but I'm sure there are people here who know more about REF than I do. So if I say something that is completely ridiculous, please feel free to let me know. If, however, it's just that I've maybe got the angle slightly wrong, if you could let it go unless I'm telling barefaced lies, that would be fantastic. Okay, so this workshop came about a few months ago really, when I was invited along with a research developer, Emma Compton-Dorr, who's based at Strathclyde in Glasgow, and she and I were asked to present at the VTI Researcher Development Conference that happened last week in Bristol. And we were asked to basically present our views on the REF and how it affects postdocs. And the reason we were requested to do this was because as part of UKRSA, we submitted a response to the Stern review on REF. So, I'm just going to go through a couple of... Sorry. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick introduction to who I am, a little bit about what REF is, and how UKRSA have been involved in that, and then we're going to have some group discussion. So I may rearrange you, depending on who arrives whilst I'm talking. Okay, so UKRSA are a UK-wide research staff association. So we provide a collective voice for research staff in the UK. We do this by having representatives within various research staff associations across the UK. So Alexia is our rep in the east of England, she's at that. And we have a number of reps around the country. We are always looking for more reps, so if anybody is interested in working with us and feeding back to us about what research staff associations are doing in your region and finding out more from us. So we also do things like providing a UK response to the Stern review of REF. So we collated ideas from different groups across the UK, so including coming from the Cambridge Postdocs and individuals and other research staff associations, and provide that collective voice that I think is often missing. I think a few people mentioned it yesterday, is often missing in the postdoc community. We're very much a researcher-led group. I think that's really important to know. I'm a postdoc and I'm also chair. We have a number of other postdocs and some research developers who are involved. We also have former postdocs who are now group leaders or have left academia but often stay involved so that they can carry on helping postdocs in their new positions. As I said, we're regional reps, and that's really how we work. So if you would like to become involved with us, please come and see the stand at coffee and lunch. We're always looking for new reps for every region because we're postdocs, so we move around every 3 years. We also have special projects. So Anna Slater, who's based in Liverpool, recently published a survey on parental leave, which was really interesting, and that came about from the fact that she had fallen pregnant and didn't know what her rights were. So she contacted UKRSA. Katie Wheat, who spoke to you yesterday and is our VTI liaison, said, well, actually, we don't have anything together to tell you about that, but if you'd like to provide us with something, we can work on that. And so now she's developed a resource for how to help researchers with parental leave issues and what you can expect, and maybe even what the research institutes can expect to be delivering. Okay, so when I talk about research staff, just really quickly, I'm basically talking about postdocs in this context. I'm talking about contracted research staff. So when you start looking at REF and you start looking at Concordat and HR Excellence in Research, you will find lots of different phrases, and there'll be research staff, there'll be early career researchers, and in this situation we're not talking about early career researchers to mean your early fellows and things. So I think that's really important to, if you get involved in this sort of thing, you need to, I'm still very much learning, you really need to start like drilling into it and understanding who they mean when we say these different terms. Interestingly, when we talk about REF, they call us research assistants. So yeah, that's helpful. So what is REF? Basically, it's the way that universities can get money. It's how the government can work out which universities are performing and decide how much money can be given to them. This is the 2014 statistics, so there were 1,911 submissions, which included 52,061 academic staff. There were a number of problems with REF 2014, though, as there always are going to be. One of them, this is what the aims of REF 2014 were. So it was to provide robust UK-wide indicators of research excellence for all disciplines, which can be used to benchmark quality against international standards and to drive the Council's funding for research. It's to provide a basis for distributing funding primarily by reference to research excellence and to fund excellent research in all its forms wherever it is found. To reduce significantly the administrative burden on institutions in comparison to the research assessment exercise, yes, thank you. Yes, which I think anybody who is involved with REF 2014 may find quite amusing. To avoid creating any undesirable behavioural incentives, again, interesting, and to promote equality and diversity, to provide a stable framework for continuing to support a world-leading research base within higher education. So, as I said, there are some problems with REF 2014, as there are problems with the RAE before it, and there will be problems with any situation like this. One of them was the eligibility, so you have quite specific guidelines on who is eligible to be refable. So this meant that there are a number of people who maybe could have been quite well examined within the REF who weren't able to be. There's this focus on external impact, so external to academia, so it became maybe something that you had to, there were concerns in some quarters that you may be looking at situations where people are being examined more on how well they work with industry, which then is a problem if you're doing basic research. Would agree? There was this big thing about gaming the REF, which I think all of the, I don't know, everyone I've spoken to is really worried that they're gaming the REF. So basically it gave opportunity, so during 2014 I was at an institute in Edinburgh that had just basically been bought up by the university because they could buy up all of your research outputs. And by research outputs I basically mean papers. So when you publish at an institute, those papers basically belong there, they belong to you, and then if a big university comes out and buys it out, they then own all of those wonderful publications that they had absolutely nothing to do with creating. It also meant there were huge rewards for moving universities, so if anyone was kind of in research, which I presume most of us were in like 2010, you probably saw a lot of people who were suddenly moving to get these really big Chancellor's Fellowships, and it was because it looked really good on the university today. And I think there were even some ways that you could get double numbers on your outputs. So yeah, there were some problems. So in last spring, the Higher Education Funding Council of England issued a consultation process. So they want, so actually I can skip that one. Oh no, okay. So they started a consultation process, which started with the Stern Review. So this was basically, Lord Stern started this huge review of what 2014 REF had been and how it needed to change to reflect our times and how it could better benefit the whole of higher education. Then in December of, is this 2016? Yeah, it's 2017 now. December of 2016, there was the consultation where the Stern Review was basically sent out to everyone. So any one of you could read the Stern Review. Personally, I read bits of it because it's quite big and I really don't recommend it as light reading. But there's some very interesting stuff in it. And that's where UKRSA came in. So we went through it, we each took bits of it, and we identified areas that we felt were probably important for UK research staff to be worried about, or maybe even feel very strongly that they were good ideas. And then we sent out a survey to our membership and asked, so this is where UKRSA kind of comes in quite handy. So I can send this survey to someone like Alexia, who can then send it to all of the Cambridge postdocs, so all the PDoc, and then they can send it to all of their networks. So it's quite a nice way of working. So if anyone's interested, please come to the stand later. Then actually in July this year, I was sitting on the train to work and saw in my Twitter feed that HIFKI had very slyly published some of the results on portability, which I'm going to come back to later, in quite a small and not necessarily that open way. And now there's been another mini consultation on that, which we responded to, and there were some initial decisions a couple of weeks ago, which I have to admit I have not got to yet. So today we're really going to look at the consultation that happened at the end of last year and really spring of this year, and the mini consultation. So consultation in December 2016, had the UKRSA survey, and we identified these 4 areas of issues. Today I'm actually going to just look at 3, but we'll talk about 4 now. Eligibility. So eligibility, collaboration, environment, and portability or non-portability. We had 53 responses which came from across the UK from different institutes and individuals. So 53 might not sound a huge number of people, but actually when you start thinking about it being the whole of postdocs in Cambridge, for example, 1 is a lot more. So eligibility. So the idea behind the eligibility issues was there's been a proposal to bring in all research active staff who have a measure of independence. They're going to use various data from different statistics agencies to define what a measure of independence and research active staff mean. We were quite concerned about that. For a start, so there's concerns about job security. It may become possible to start manipulating fixed-term contracts that most of us are on to be able to influence what your researcher to output ratio is. Because previously, if you were on a tenure track position or a permanent position, you would be referable. If you start bringing in people like us who have moved around, if they're concerned that we've only got short-term contract and they don't believe that we're going to get enough out, does that mean that they're going to start bringing us into different roles? Will there be postdocs as research staff? Will we start being given teacher fellow positions? There are a lot of concerns around these sort of things. Also, will we start to see manipulation of authorships to favour the senior academics so that they can keep hold of their papers rather than it belonging to a postdoc who is making the year learn everywhere? The independence with a measure, the research active with a measure of independence is a bit of a concern, because just what the hell does that mean? Honestly, a PhD student has a measure of independence. That's the point of doing a PhD. And so we were quite concerned about that the wording, as often with these things, was slightly questionable. And what happens when you finish your fixed term contract? Does that paper belong to that institute? Where does it go? Which we will come to a bit later. Collaboration. So the idea is really to bring in more collaboration outside of higher education. So again, this comes back to this whole thing of it really favours those non-basic research. It favours people for research that is very applicable and very translational, which is fantastic, and I don't think anyone's saying that we don't need that research, but the worry is that if universities aren't getting the money for people doing basic research, the basic research is going to go, and what's going to happen in 20 years when you have basic research to start bringing translational research. But it's good to collaborate. I think most academics would agree. We want to collaborate as much as you can, and it does mean that you're not just looking at the number of papers that an institute has produced. So there are pluses and minuses for collaboration, I think. The big one, I'd say, for a lot of our members was portability. So, as I say, previously your research outputs belong to you. then when it gets towards ref, you can go and get some big money from, as I think Boris was saying yesterday, Oxford and Cambridge can offer you big money to go and take all of your lovely research outputs that, I don't know, Averys have paid for, and then you find yourself, well, let Averys have found themselves without all of the outputs. So there's there's a proposal that you stop having this portability of outputs. There's a lot of concerns around this. So why on earth would you start giving tenure fixed-term contract researchers a permanent position if they're not, like, it doesn't matter to you. You're going to keep their research. It's been done there. So it's all fine. Publications often do come after you've left an institute. I've got a paper coming out soon that's 10 years old from my PhD. I think everyone has these kind of things. So you're not necessarily going to be in the place that you do the work. So does that mean that nowhere has an incentive for giving you jobs? Will researchers start holding back? The big concern with portability of this gaming the ref is very much our concern that actually it'll lead to a different gaming of the ref. And I think that's something to bear in mind. People are going to try and game the system because you have to do what's best for yourself, really, sometimes, especially in an industry like this. So will researchers say, oh, well, I'm not going to publish this until I've got my permanent contract, and start playing it that way? We had some solutions on this one, which were basically potentially double weighting. So saying that, yes, the institute that you do the work in can keep it, but also the researcher themselves can keep it. So it will belong to both. Also, there's the suggestion that it could potentially remain portable if you are a newly independent researcher. So potentially if you were not referable in 2014, but you're referable in 2021, which is when the next one's coming up, then you are able to take those with you, and then in the next round you wouldn't be portable anymore. And this is, yeah, so this is just what we wrote about it, because actually this then did come up again in the mini consultation, and essentially, yeah, we were concerned that losing the transfer window that we had previously may mean that new researchers, young researchers are less likely to start getting those jobs. Let's just go through that. Okay, so in summary, the three main issues that we foresee are eligibility, with concerns about job security, and just the complexity of identifying who's an independent researcher. Collaboration, we think there are huge benefits to career development as far as that's concerned, but concerns about that basic research. Portability, we would like some kind of compromise for ourselves, really.